What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers need a center. Right now, all of the rumors on the trade front are all centered around 3-and-D wings. Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma, right? Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, even Bruce Brown. The Lakers clearly are targeting and focused on trying to get those perimeter guys, get those guys that can help with the perimeter defense. Lakers were atrocious in perimeter defense last year. I think they were like 29th in the league. So that is definitely a key need, a key upgrade, especially if you can get like a legit 3-and-D guy. Lakers seem to be prioritizing Jeremy Grant and are really pushing hard for Jeremy Grant just based on all the news and reports that are going around. But the Lakers need a center, right? And again, I don't think it's something that is like absolute do or die. Like if the Lakers don't get another center, you can completely forget winning a championship. No, I think it depends on, the other piece. Lakers have a lot of other needs besides center, and you also, if you can get the talent upgrade, right, you can still win a championship, right? Like look at Boston. Their two centers were Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, who didn't play pretty much the entire playoffs. They were fine because they have the overall talent to do so. Even Dallas, yes, Lively and Gafford were really good for them, but they're not these big, burly, dominant centers, right? Like we didn't lose to Denver because Nikola Jokic was just so good, so overwhelming that we had no shot, no chance against him. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was everybody else. It was the perimeter defense. So I understand why the Lakers are really kind of focused on trying to get a guy at the perimeter spot as that 3-and-D wing. I get that. However, if you can get a center that makes sense, I think you do it. Problem is, it's like Clint Capella right now. It's like these various kind of like centers that are overpriced. Brook Lopez is another name that's out there, but he's like 36, and it's like they want a first for him. You really give him a first for Brook Lopez, right? Just it's these things that kind of are like, I don't know how much sense this makes, but Nick Richards from the Charlotte Hornets, if you can get him, go get him. Now, there's no real reports as to Nick Richards, A, being available, and B, the Lakers actually going and targeting him. The reason I'm even mentioning this is because there are reports that the Knicks have had conversations about trying to get Nick Richards, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that Charlotte is willing to trade him or is going to trade him, but if they had at least conversations and discussions, Charlotte's at least entertaining the idea. Charlotte's at least willing to listen and go, okay, well, what are you trying to give here, right? So Nick Richards, if the Lakers could land him, again, if the Knicks are inquiring about him and he's available, right, or at least they're willing to explore the possibility, the Lakers should be on the phone too, calling that up and just saying, like, what would it take? What are you looking for? If it's too much and the asking price is insane, then fine, forget about it. Just let him go elsewhere, let him stay on Charlotte, whatever, however you want to approach it. But what if it isn't? What if it is reasonable and you can get him at a realistic price, and now you just got your backup center for now and the future, and even a guy that could slot in as your starting center if you like. I really like the idea of Nick Richards, right? A lot of people wanted the Lakers to get Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford would have been great on the Lakers. He's a guy that I really wanted the Lakers to get as well. But missing out on Gafford and getting Nick Richards, beautiful. I'm okay with that. Let's get it. Let's go. And Nick Richards, he's 26 years old, but more than anything is his contract. So Nick Richards is insanely cheap as far as contracts go. So this year he's making $5 million. Next year he's making $5 million, and then he's an unrestricted free agent, which you'd have to give him a newer contract. So he's $5 million. You could take couple pieces. Maybe you could work out in a grander, bigger deal, right? Like, can you work something out with the Nets to where maybe you get a Dorian Finney-Smith and a Nick Richards, or maybe you get a Cam Johnson and a Nick Richards, right? Maybe you could do something like that, because the $5 million be tough. Like in a perfect world, you could take 2 vet minimums, but problem is that the new CBA, you can't really stack vet minimums to go get a guy, right? You can add minimums to other guys, but you can't just like take 5 vet minimums and get to a $20 million guy or whatever, $15 million guy. So you'd have to work it out to where it's like, maybe you're sending Gabe Vincent in something, and that's why you probably have to work it out in a multi-year deal. You probably have to work it out in a way. Now, depending on the exceptions that the Lakers get, like if you could work something out, maybe you can absorb him into the exception. But again, like LeBron's probably about to sign that contract tomorrow, and then or later today, and then on top of that, you add in, just the Lakers would have to make other moves. It could get complicated, is the point. But this is a guy that is basically, if he got more minutes and opportunity, could be a walking double double. Right, this is a guy that, he right now is averaging just a hair under 10 points and 8 rebounds with an assist per game, shooting 69.1% from the field. He's a legit 7-footer too, which is what I really like. He's not this 6'10" kind of guy. He's a legit 7-footer that can come in and make a real impact. Not really a floor spacer, right? He's a guy that basically, he doesn't take any threes. Right? He is that Gafford. He is that Derek Lively type guy. He's going to give you high energy. He's going to rebound. He's going to defend. He's going to block shots. He's going to do all the things that you need. He averaged 1.6 blocks, along with half a steal, 1.3 assists, and also in basically 26 minutes of play. Yeah, it's 26.3 minutes of play. And then shot 69% from the field. So this is a guy that also from the free throw line shoots well too, which is a good sign, right? Because, you get that like hack Nick Richards cause a little problem. But he, to me, is like that cheap option with upside, with growth, with potential. He's 26, so he's, a little older, right? He's not like, 23 to where it's like, oh, you bring him in and have some upside. But he is a guy that I do think if you were to slot him in, say, in the starting unit alongside Anthony Davis, easily a 10 and 10 guy, right? Like I do. I think he's a guy that easily, bare minimum, is that, maybe even more. Right? He's floor running big. He can you put him in the dunk spot, put him in actions, pick and roll with him. You could throw it up, lob it up. You can do basically everything that you could want and need with him. And he's a guy that I think would actually be one of the few centers that could come in and make an impact, right? Come off the bench, play alongside Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis misses a game, boom, you can bring him in and trust that he can kind of come in and make an impact on both sides of the basketball, right? Because the problem with Hayes is high energy. Like when he's out there and he's doing his thing, like at times you love him, right? At times you look at him and you're like, man, this guy's doing something. But then there's times where you're just like, oh, like get this guy off the basketball court. I don't think you get that with Nick Richards. Also, it's the defense and shot blocking, right? Like it's the rim protection. When Jackson Hayes is in the game, teams are targeting him, getting to the basket. He doesn't have the discipline yet on the defensive side to really stay down. You see him getting a lot of fouls and in a hurry. Where Nick Richards, he's a guy that he's basically what we want, right? What we want Jackson Hayes to be. That, rim runner, high energy, can run the floor, get out in transition. He's trailing, right? You can always just throw it back to boom, he's slamming it home, get you the back door, get you, shoot well from the free throw line, right? He's he blocks shots, be disciplined. Point is, he's the guy that I would love for the Lakers to go get. Obviously, again, what's the cost? Because, like I mentioned, the Hornets don't really seem to, we haven't heard, there's not a ton of reports coming out of teams are acquiring him. But he also, again, is a $5 million backup center right now for the Charlotte Hornets, right? How many teams have him in the back of their mind? How many teams actually need a center, right? How many teams are focused on everybody else right now? All the teams that are active on the trade market are all trying to get, Lauri Markkanen or, Jeremy Grant or Cam Johnson, or they're all trying to get everyone else but Nick Richards. So to me, that's where Nick Richards, I think, maybe we kind of sneak in. And again, if the Knicks are inquiring about him, there's at least something there because they didn't just hang up the phone. There's constantly, hey, what about this guy? Hey, what about this guy? Hey, what about this guy? That never get reported because it's always no, boom, right? Nope, boom, nope, right? Teams do their due diligence. But this was reported because there's something there. There is at least a door cracked. Can you get that whole thing open? And if you can, I think you go get Nick Richards. Right? If we can finish this offseason, which, again, it's still early. I know people are irritated and frustrated and are ready to call it a season, but got to keep in mind, we're on, day 7, right? Like we still have 60 days before the start of training camp. A lot can happen between now and then. So if you could finish this offseason with Jeremy Grant, Cam Johnson, and Nick Richards, let's go win a championship, baby. Right? Because now you got legit 2 to 3 and D wings. You got that legit backup center that can easily start in a pinch if you need him to. You're playing, say Minnesota, right? You can put him at the 5, 80 at the 4. Now you're cooking. So I don't know. I just, again, there's not reports. It's just me, my thoughts. Usually I report the updates, give the updates and all that stuff. I know people are always like, oh, well, you want to trade for everybody. No, I'm just relaying the news that's out there. I'm just letting you know, hey, this is what's going on. Here's my opinion. Here you go. This is just solely my opinion. There are, at least at the time of recording this video, you never know. I've talked about this guy before, and boom, all of a sudden there's news about it. Not that I'm the one that leaked it or anything. Just, again, it's hey, he's a guy that could potentially be available. It makes sense, right? So we'll see. But I'm hoping that he's potentially a guy that ends up being available, and maybe the Lakers can snag him because he would be huge for the Lakers. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Nick Richards? Do you think yes, go get Nick Richards. He's a backup, gives you a legit center. Now, future, play alongside AD, backup AD, do a little bit of everything that you need him to do. Do you think, no, stay away from him, go get, maybe a better high-profile center, or go get a Brook Lopez or something like that? Here's an interesting question for those that stayed this long in the video. If it was Nick Richards or Brook Lopez, who would you rather have? Say they're the same price. Because I would rather have Nick Richards. Even though Brook Lopez makes more sense, right, as far as a floor stretching big and the defense stuff, I'd rather have Nick Richards because, one, you're probably not starting. Is Brook Lopez, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James the best starting front court? Probably not, right? Because LeBron now has got to chase threes, and is Brook Lopez going to be fine coming off the bench? Probably not, right? He's also 36, where the other is 26, right? So to me, give me the younger guy that you can kind of shape, mold, be here now and the future, and not just for the next 2 years and you're giving up a first or whatever. So I'd rather if you're going to have to give up a first, I'd rather give it up for Nick Richards, let him come in and be a valuable piece. But I don't think it'd even cost a first. I think probably a couple seconds, probably what you're looking at. I mean, he was a second round pick and he's good, but he's not that good. He's not, and he's 26. So it's not, if he was doing what he's doing and he was 22, then yeah, he'd probably go for a first. But he's a guy that, given everything, you're probably giving up 2-3 seconds for. If you could do something like that, I think you'd do it. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.